All right. Oh, what just happened?
What just happened?
There we go. Okay. Wrong button. We're good now.
It's all a learning curve.
Hello, everyone. Doof doof. What's up, girl? I was going to do your show, and I wound up forgetting and saw a movie instead. I apologize. And it was a terrible movie. I saw Aquaman, and it sucked. I of course, am your gracious host, Don Dinklesworth, and I'm here with Marilyn Bast, psychic extraordinaire. Hello. And so today's show is going to be action-packed. We have so much action to get to. It's going to be amazing. First and foremost, we're going to talk about places that are on your bucket list for paranormal adventure.
Yeah, so I was actually kind of cruising through and looking to see what I can find, and I found a few places in Salem, Massachusetts. Have you ever been there?
Nobody cares. Marilyn.
So do you want to go to Salem?
Yes, we do. But before we do that, why don't we give people that maybe are not familiar with you a little bit of your background?
Oh, okay. Well, Mary Lynn Bast.
That's great. Go ahead and start.
I'm a psychic medium, and I have been doing this probably since I was about 4 years old. I started seeing my first apparitions and talking to people from the other side. And I've lived in Las Vegas for about 14 years. That's actually where I met Mike, and moved back to Texas. And now we've just continued. And what I did there is started doing paranormal investigations and kind of adding to my psychic stuff, wanting to get more involved. So that's how I actually became involved in paranormal investigations and getting with other groups.
That's awesome. On top of that, you also do your intuitive touch paintings.
I just started that about a year and a half ago as I started painting, and about 9 months ago started trying. I kept seeing videos of them doing paint pours, and I kept thinking, what a waste of paint. I'm going to see if I can try it and save paint and try to get some of the same results. That doesn't work. But I started doing it, and then my friend Kim pointed out that she started seeing things in the paintings. As I was thinking about somebody doing the colors for them, things started coming through. So that's where I started doing intuitive paintings, where you pick 3-4 colors and I do the pour thinking about you and what comes through. So we actually did one for you and Phil when we were in South Dakota.
That's right. And they looked awesome. And I didn't get it. Didn't make the trip. It kind of got a little damaged. So we'll redo those.
I actually have more for you. It's just a matter of shipping them out to you. So they're ready.
Nice. Somebody asked what I'm drinking. So this right here is actually a little combination of a Red Bull and the last of my Captain Morgan. Oh, it's so bright. I don't know if you can see that. Private stock.
Oh.
So this is a fancy Captain Morgan. But I do have with me, when I first launched Two Clueless Suits, which is now Psychic Paranormal, I went and I bought this ridiculous $150 bottle of rum, and it is so good. So I got a shot of that ready in my, I got this for Christmas.
Oh, how cute.
It's a little shot glass outhouse.
Oh, funny.
I know I do not need any more energy. I really don't, but I like the flavor. So it's always customary. Anytime I do a show, I always make sure I have alcohol. I just feel like it adds this air of classiness, as Marilyn does a shot of Fireball.
I didn't get it this time.
Where is Pat?
Hey, Pat.
Get him on the phone. Steak.
Did you get my Fireball?
This guy. So while we're waiting for her to get loosey-goosey, let me tell you a little bit about myself. That is a weird, I don't know if you guys can see there, it's a weird dark color to be drinking out of an outhouse. I'm just throwing that out there really quick. I'm a little concerned, but that's fine. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. So as far as the paranormal go, I'm clueless. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you that right now. This is all a learning. I've only been to a couple of places, and I absolutely enjoyed the experience. I am a comedian first. I've been doing comedy and entertainment since 2008, when I helped launch the Rockin' Comedy Show with Crazy J, and I loved it. It was something I loved to do. But I got to be me, and I wanted to find that next chapter, and I've just kind of been skating through trying to figure out where is my passion going, right? And I did this event with you in Deadwood, and it just clicked. Yep. I was like, you know what? There's something to this. I feel like there's a great crossover between both being haunted and humor.
Yes.
Between haunt and humor, there's this crossover. Now there's a fine line there, right? Because you're not doing it to be disrespectful. You're not trying to be disrespectful to entities or spirits or anything of that nature. But that doesn't mean that there can't be comedy and humor to be found along the way, and even during sometimes. Because I think we've talked about this a little bit. Some of these spirits that you can communicate with. I mean, especially when you go to some place like Deadwood, or you go to Virginia City, where they have these conventions, often they're going to get asked the same questions year after year after year. How old were you when you died? Where are you? Do you know you're dead? How did you die? Are you sad? Well, sometimes you need to break that. I feel like you have to break that barrier, break that chain, and I think it creates energy.
It does, and then with your comedy and just kind of bringing that in with what, because our tagline we came up with is where paranormal is real and fun. So that's where we're bringing, when we're doing our investigations, we're bringing the fun into it. And I found when you are, because I used to host the paranormal, the lockdowns out at the Pioneer Saloon in Vegas, we would have fun. And, the more you can laugh and joke and just enjoy yourself, it seemed to get more activity. And bringing that to other locations, and like you were pointing out, if we do that, I got Fireball.
It's about time, Pat.
I know, right?
So just bringing that to, bringing it out, it helps them, I think, communicate, and it's in a different way. And it's like, oh, this can be fun.
Yeah. So people may not know this, but there's a GoFundMe for Pat. He's a retired Chippendales dancer. He lost half his leg in a terrible accident that involved hopping off the stage. So, but we're praying for him. Speedy recovery.
He's getting better.
He is.
Fireball helps.
It does a lot.
So he's going to join us and have a drink with us.
There you go.
Jill says, "Where is hers?"
Jill is right here. So Jill works with me at my day job.
Oh, nice. And if it's not right there, you can check your fridge. If it's not in your fridge, you can check the Albertsons. Or salute to my paranormal crew. Ding.
The crew.
Ding. I just drink out of an outhouse.
So he has a new shot glass in outhouse.
Oh, nice. As long as it's not blue.
It is blue.
No, inside.
Inside.
No, it's not blue, but it is a weird colored brown now. That's for sure.
Oh.
Woo!
At least we know it works.
That's right.
Leave that.
Leave it.
Sure, why not?
Leave it. So now that we've kind of gone over that, today's show, last week we talked a little bit about the McIntyre, not McIntyre, not to be confused with Reba.
Right.
We talked about the McIntyre Villa and its incredible history and the awesome, beautiful woman that runs it.
Stephanie O'Reilly.
Correct. And they, I believe they were able to raise enough to fix everything that they needed to fix for the boiler, so they can have crab now. So we're very excited for them.
They can.
So now, hi Jenny.
Hi, Jenny. That's my daughter.
Jenny. Hi Jenny. Hi Jenny. No, okay.
It's
Back on topic. So now that we've talked a little bit about that location, and I'm yet to see that location. Have you been to McIntyre?
I did actually went with the Horns in October when we
That's
were
right.
on our way to Deadwood. So we
So-
went there and spent the overnight in
Yeah.
very, very active place. It's definitely there's a portal there. We found that, and I highly recommend it. So we want to put that
I have
on
a portal
our
potty.
bucket list.
Yeah.
And it has its own bathroom, so we don't have to use an outhouse there.
That's great. So I'm yet to go, but that's definitely a place that I would love to visit. But the key to today was that kind of got us thinking about, well, where else haven't we been? And that's not just us. Where are those places that you absolutely have to check off, right? And you had just brought up Salem, Massachusetts, not to be confused with like Salem, Washington.
Nope.
So a little bit of background about Salem. Salem is very, very famous for, the witch burnings.
Yes.
They're very famous. That was the very first place that the Jamaican weave was introduced. Not a lot of people know that.
The Jamaican weave.
Yeah. Yeah, man. In the hair, man. Yeah.
Okay.
But
I was going to say, it's hard to tell when you're serious or not.
it is famous. It is famous for a lot of the witch burnings.
Yes.
Because it was like a really big problem there.
Yeah.
It really kind of went out of control. I mean, to be completely honest, that's why it's so famous. That's why you know it. You don't know something that is handled appropriately, right? So
it doesn't make history whenever it's done right.
Exactly. So tell me a little bit about what you found in Salem.
Well, in looking through the website that I found, they were talking about they do all kinds of walking tours and stuff like that, and I've always wanted to go. So for me, as a background, I don't consider myself a witch. I'm more spiritual because mine is just I grew up with everything, but I feel like there's a connection to go there, so that's why I would like to go to Salem. But
so
they
spiritual
have
or psychic?
Spiritual and psychic.
No, which?
Witch? So, a witchy psychic.
All right. So, but that's a place that you've never been that you would love to go.
Never been. Yep. So that's one of my bucket list locations. Is I would like to go there. And for the first place I find on here is Rockefeller's, and they talk about the underground tunnels and all that stuff. So the Rockefeller's is located in Salem's first church and has a history steeped in murderous secrets.
Oh, wow.
So the old sea captain fell in love with a young woman named Sarah, and however, Sarah fell in love with another man. So the sailor she planned to run away with while the captain was out to sea. So unfortunately for Sarah, the captain returned and was furious that she had planned that he hit her with a giant plank of wood. And they say she died in the alley next to the old church, and the captain buried her body in the underground tunnels, which with the help of the church minister.
Dang.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you
the
believe
minister
it?
was so distraught with his actions that he committed suicide.
Wow.
But some say he was murdered by the captain, who thought the minister would reveal what really happened. So
Wow.
Can you imagine that?
That's some crazy energy.
It is.
You know what I mean?
And they talk about the 12 locations here. There has to be so much more there that people haven't pointed out.
Gotta be.
Just because of where it's at and what the history is.
Yeah, just the age. I mean, just the age alone. I mean, you're talking 1700s. Maybe even, it might even go back a little bit before then.
I am bad with dates.
Yeah. So
we should have done a history lesson on this.
I know Massachusetts was one of the original colonies, which was sometime in like the early to mid 1600s. And
If
then
we have any historical buffs here, and if you know when the
Yeah.
Salem witch trials and all that took place, feel free to let us know and we'll chat more about it. So the next one I found was Salem's underground tunnels. I've noticed that in most locations with a lot of hauntings, there seem to be tunnels underground. Have you heard that?
I've not, but I would absolutely love to do underground tunnels.
Yes.
That sounds so freaking amazing to me.
If you're claustrophobic, it wouldn't work.
I'm afraid of one thing: garbage trucks.
And why is that?
And you know what's funny is it sounds like a joke, but I am telling the absolute truth. I am mortified of garbage trucks. I have been since I was a kid. I will go out of my way to go. I will go around the block
To avoid it.
Yes.
And Krista says it's true. He is.
Yes. Yes. Lacey says she's dying to go to Salem. Choose your words wisely there when it comes to Salem. She's dying to go to Salem.
Oh.
And let's see. I would like to go to the Sally house, but there is not Sally. I will be looking for one of the Finney family. They built the house. What's the Sally house? Is that in Salem?
I believe it is.
Oh, okay. Very cool.
So who is Doof Doof Paranormal?
That is Karen Huntley. She has her own show in Australia.
Oh,
Called
okay.
Doof Doof Paranormal. She was kind enough to have me on, and it was fantastic. And Garbophobia, yes. I legitimately am. It's the weirdest thing, but I legitimately am. I wish I could say I'm lying, but I'm not.
So we need to plan a trip to go meet Karen in Australia, because that's one of my bucket list locations, is to visit Australia.
Oh man, I would love to. But we're actually going to be doing one of her events that she's planning. I forget when.
It's in Virginia City, isn't it?
Yeah, Virginia City.
Said April.
Is it April?
May?
No, June.
June, July. No, July.
July
12th and 13th.
It's all kind of combobbled in my mind.
We have so many different dates we've been talking about. So I think you said that one was the 12th and the 13th of July.
Yes. So Salem. Yes.
So back to Salem. So the underground tunnels. So I have not read this, so I'm just kind of grabbing it as we go. So today the tunnels below Rockefellers are used as offices and storage areas. Can you imagine having an office down in a tunnel?
That's weird. So you know what's funny? I want to say it was in Chicago. I'm only bringing this up because of the underground tunnels and there's the office buildings being on top of it. There is a mall, and these guys found a door that was like all blocked off. They go through like the door, and it takes them to a complete underground mall.
Oh wow!
It's been completely abandoned, a whole floor. And then that exits into an entire underground network of tunnels under Chicago. And they got stuck down there for hours trying to figure out a way out.
Well, I know I was in Chicago in November, and we were there just walking around, just trying to drive through, and got stuck underneath the tunnels and it's taking us probably 30 minutes just to get back. And it's literally 2 miles away. The traffic is horrible. But would love to. That would be awesome to be able to see if we can get into those tunnels.
Yes, something like that would just be amazing. But if there's tunnels in Salem, I'm in.
Yep. So here it says, the staff and the patrons of the Rockefellers have reported witnessing several spirits, including the Blue Lady and a man in black, who's thought to be the tortured minister.
Oh.
So many believe the Blue Lady to be Sarah, or a woman once employed by the building owner, Daniel Lowe.
Ironically, that's who the Smurfs are based off of.
It could be.
Yeah.
Sarah's been captured on film by various bar patrons and now has a drink named after her. Be sure to ask the servers about their personal experience with the Blue Lady when you visit the Rockefellers.
Wow, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
And I think that's the cool thing about Salem in particular is it's not just a one-stop shop, right? So there's a lot of places that, we have this. and that's, you go there, that's all you get, and then you're out, right? But Salem, I mean, this is literally just from this one, I guess, chance encounter has just branched into so many opportunities,
Right.
which is that's pretty incredible.
Well, like I was saying, there's probably so many other places that have not been investigated. People just haven't noticed or haven't posted it and talked about it.
Yeah.
They may not want the people knowing, or, because when you start getting people who know that something's happened at this house, they start driving by, you start getting knocks on the doors. And that's probably why you don't hear a lot more of people talking about it. They're afraid of that.
That's true, right? Because the second you, well, and it's twofold, right? Because one, the second you draw attention to it, you're giving it more power.
Yes.
Two, you're also just making it harder on yourself because you're going to draw in investigators, tourists, people that just want to see something, people that don't believe, that just want to come and nag you. Right. I mean, it can create a whole slew of problems. In fact, it was, I'd watched a show. I can't remember the ghost show, but it was a paranormal show, and they go down there and they try to help. They try to help solve a problem that had taken place at a haunted location. It was a museum of some sort.
Okay.
And they go in there and they do all this stuff, and then they leave, and things get exponentially more horrible.
Yes.
Because they just went in, stirred up a bunch of shit, didn't really solve anything. They just made it worse, right? Because they came in, they brought all this attention, and then more attention starts pouring in because all the people that watch the show, they want to come and see for themselves. And it just creates problems, right?
Yes.
And it's tough, especially when maybe you as an owner of a haunted place, maybe you just want to be left alone and you're like, okay, well, I just need somebody who can help me see if these entities or spirits want to move on. Can they move on? Will they move on? Right. And then you get in cases like that.
Is it safe to be there with them? And that's a lot of the questions that people have. Is it okay for them to be there? Is there anything, dangerous? Or because a lot of people just move into the homes and they find that, or the locations, buildings, they find that they're guests and with them. And yeah. So they're just trying to figure out, is it okay? Is their children going to be okay? Is it okay for them to be there? Right. So they call in this paranormal group, and most of the groups they just want to catch evidence, and they want to find the footage. They want to get something. And then, like you said, they get it all stirred up, and then they're gone. Then you can't get a hold of them. Well, now, people are getting scratched. People are getting all of this different stuff happening to them. And it's something that I want to change the perception on that as a paranormal group. When you come in, we don't just come in, investigate, and then walk away. Right. We need to be able to say, hey, this is what we found. This is what we can do to help.
Correct.
I have kind of a vast knowledge of the different areas and being able to help, but it's also to the point of, I don't know everything, and nobody does. And right. That's where you be able to call in other people to say, hey, this is what I'm finding. I need some help. And don't have such a big ego that you can't ask for that help. And that's where right. Most of those people are not able to do that. They're going to be the one, they're going to be the star, they're going to fix it. Well, exactly. Most of the time they don't fix it.
Yeah, and Arthur asked because some of our closed captions are appearing ahead. There may be a delay, but we are live, so the actual image and the words our mouths or sounds may be delayed, and it may be doing the translations first to the closed caption. So I apologize if there's just a little bit of a delay there. But yes. Yeah, even the closed captions are psychic, correct? Yeah, they know.
So we are monitoring. I think Krista's actually helping us monitor the chat. So thank you. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to add something there, or talk with us, be here with us. That's what this is for, just open forum. And
yeah, we want to know, do you have anybody that's in here? You could tell us, do you have a bucket list? Do you have this place that you absolutely have to go? For me, it's really easy. And it's not in America. I really want to go to the Dracula Castle in Romania. I really want to go. There's just something about that location that it drives me to it.
Yeah.
I feel like it's so rich, and I mean, you have to also understand that a lot of those things with Vlad the Impaler, a lot of that happened so long ago,
right,
that I mean, I wouldn't expect there to be, I wouldn't expect there to be anything immediate, or even dangerous. I don't know. I know they do weddings there now, which is pretty incredible.
Well, I think they've kind of turned it into a bed and breakfast type. You can go in and
which is genius. I mean, honestly. So I would love to see that. And there is there's also there's a castle that I saw that would also be really cool to see. It's in it's called the Neuschwanstein Castle in southern Germany. And it's I would be really interested in vow renewal.
Krista wants to go for vow renewal. So I'm also an ordained minister.
Ooh, that's cool. Okay. Stanley Hotel in Estes Park, Colorado. Is that where they did the Estes method originally? Or?
No, this is where The Shining was filmed.
The Shining.
With Jack Nicholson.
I thought that was called The Shinning.
The Shinning.
I thought it had something to do with his legs. Isn't that the one where he gets his legs hit?
The Shining. So my daughter wants to go to that.
That's not the one where he gets his legs hit with the hammer?
No, that is with Kathy Bates.
That's The Shinning.
It's not the name of it, but he takes out his shins.
I thought that was The Shinning.
No.
Wow. Okay. So that would be. Is that place actually haunted though?
It is haunted. Yes.
Misery. That's what it is.
Yes, Misery. Yeah.
Oh, there's a Frankenstein castle in Darmstadt, Germany. Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
So my daughter knows that because her father's side of the family is from Germany.
Oh, he's German.
That's where she wants to go as well.
Oh, that's very cool. I would go just for some Wiener Schnitzel.
Right.
I would love to have some of that. Actually, there's a lot of cool stuff in Germany, especially from the World War I and World War II era. I'm a huge World War I, World War II nerd. I absolutely love those two campaigns. I think there's a lot there to uncork. Right. And a lot of cool fiction and fan fiction that can come from that too. So, but that would be really cool. What else you got?
For me, I can't do the World War, looking at war movies and stuff like that. I can't do that because I know that it was real, and I connect with those, and I literally feel the pain and stuff. And it's like it's heartbreaking for me. So I can't watch war movies. I
got you. See, in a weird way, I connect with them too, and it is sad, but it's also powerful and moving to me. And I love the idea of getting to understand what they could have been going through.
Right.
And I mean, as scared as you might be going through a haunted location, these guys that were going through what they went through World War I and World War II, they had to have been mortified.
It's miserable. Yeah.
I mean, absolutely miserable. We got Sam and Colby went to the Dracula Castle. It's a good watch. Okay, very cool.
Nice.
Ronneburg Castle in Germany. Oh, it's a great place to visit. I lived a few miles from there. Very cool.
Oh, nice.
That's very cool. It's fun. There's a lot of great. There's a lot of great stuff in that whole Germany era.
Right.
Area, excuse me. and era. Everything comes kind of from that same kind of similar time, I'm sure.
Well, see, that's where we can go to Germany and go to the Dracula Castle, but then we need to make a trip over to Scotland. So that's where my heritage is from. So I want to visit all the castles there. And then I'm also part Irish. So that's where I want to go to Scotland and Ireland.
Look,
so,
Irish Spring is one of my favorite soaps.
Irish Springs. Yep.
So I'm there. I'm
the
there.
Leprechaun.
That's right. Good day, Martartel. I'm in for Ireland.
Said the Fuligen Castle. I can only see a part of it because of the.
I know. I can see that. Also in Germany, Hausfulien Cologne.
Okay.
Also in
and I
Germany.
think that's where she has a cousin that just reached out to her from Ancestry.
Okay. Well, Lacey says her family has a castle in Scotland. My maiden name is Campbell. Oh, like the soup.
Well, I'm a Smith, so but it's just the family tree.
So everybody's name has like an origin story, right? So my last name is Galliano.
Okay.
I've looked up my family origin name to figure out where they came from. And most names were given at the time because there were so many first names that people were getting confused. So they're like, okay, well, we need to have a surname so we can properly identify people, right? So they basically went door to door and said, okay, what do you do? Oh, I'm a Smith. Well, okay, if you're Smith, then guess what? That's going to be your surname. You're now a Smith. Shoemaker. Oh, well, guess what? You're a shoemaker now.
Right.
Oh, yeah, I'm a sheepfucker. Okay, well, you're now Dan Sheepfucker. So that's
where you get the screaming goat.
That's where it comes from. So they literally went to my family's home and they said, okay, well, what do you do? Well, right now I'm kind of between jobs. Oh, okay. Well, do you have a special skill? No, not really. I'm still just kind of figuring things out.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that farm back there. Do you own that farm? Oh, that. Oh,
You're
no. Nope.
Yep.
I don't own it. I just live next to it though. Well, shit. Are those your chickens? Those chickens there? Yeah. No. No. They just showed up one day. I think they belong to the house next door. So you have no job. Nope. You don't own the farm. Those aren't your chickens. Nope. You just live near the chickens, pretty much. Well, all right. You're going to be the one who lives near chickens.
So what would that last name be?
Gagliano. My last name literally translates to the one who lives near chickens.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Some people are royalty and are kings and princes and dukes. Nope. I live near chickens.
So my daughter pointed out that I'm technically a McCoy, and that is true. My dad was actually adopted into the Smith family, but he comes from the Hatfield and McCoy feud. So he's on the McCoy side. So that's my heritage there.
Oh, wow. And Arthur, if one of your buddies was named Galliano, we're probably related in some fashion. Most Gallianos came from one corner of Palermo, Sicily, is where the majority of us came from. I actually had the privilege to go to Sicily and view it and learn a little bit more about the namesake and what we did. So it was pretty cool.
So that's the first time I've heard you say your last name. So every time I read it, I would say Gagliano.
And that's fine. That's normally how I will let people say it. If I have to pronounce it phonetically, I'll say Gagliano, so people know how to spell it. But in Italy, and I even asked just to make sure that I was pronouncing it correctly. The proper is Galliano.
Galliano. Okay.
Galliano, yeah.
So do you speak any Italian?
Bibida-bapida.
There you go.
Actually, I can say mi chiamo Sinistro Petite.
Okay, what's that mean?
My name is Sinister Potato.
Sinister Potato. Okay.
I can say that in about 8 different languages.
That's
I can say nothing else.
Nothing else. Okay.
Meranam Katano Kalohe. It's Hindu for my name is Sinister Potato. Mitnamni Alvali Putatis. That is Swedish.
Swedish, okay.
For my name is Sinister Potato.
So what made you look up to learn how to say that into 8 different languages?
It all started with Russian. Меня зовут Скверна картошку. My name's Mr. Potato. My sister and my grandmother went to Russia, to Moscow, to dance. My sister was a ballerina. She danced for President Gorbachev.
Oh, nice.
Yes, and they came back with a Russian English dictionary. And somehow I got my hands on the Russian English dictionary, and I had fun. I was like, well, I don't need to learn all of Russian because there's nobody around me that's Russian, but I'm going to learn how to say something. And that's what I learned how to say.
I can just imagine you as a kid. Your mom probably wanted to strangle you half the time.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yes. So maybe we should get back to finding some locations in America, places that we could actually go and visit.
Well, another location back in Salem is the Cinema Salem. It's haunted by several film-loving spirits, and who can blame them? A cinema is probably the best place for a movie fan to spend the afterlife, as there'll always be a front row seat for the latest flicks. The Museum Place Mall, where the Cinema Salem is located, is also one of Salem's haunted attractions, but most ghostly sightings are in the cinema. The Theater 3 is a favorite haunt for a ghostly woman who lingers in the back row wearing a 19th century clothing and making her appearance known to staff cleaning up at the end of the night.
That's just me.
I would hate to be stuck there cleaning up every night, having to do your job over and over and over again.
Oof.
I don't want to do my job during the daytime. I don't want to do it as a spirit.
And see, and this is a weird juxtaposition to people's opinion on heaven and hell, right?
Right.
Because you could look at as she thoroughly enjoyed her job and it was the love of her life, and she is effectively living in a time that she doesn't want to forget. And that's beautiful.
Could be heaven to her. So that was, her getting to watch the movies over and over again.
Or it could have been, like you said, absolute hell, something that she didn't want to do and she was stuck doing it. And now she is forever perpetuating this terrible experience
over and over. Yeah.
Right. So it's really interesting that heaven and hell can literally just be a matter of perception away.
The state of mind.
Yeah. It's an incredible thing.
Yes.
What else you got for me?
For her, it says other staff members are reporting seeing an older man sitting in an empty theater alone. When employees went to inform him that no movie screening was planned, he would vanish, and no one would be there. If you want to visit one of the haunted places while watching the film, Cinema Salem, Massachusetts is a place for you. So another location is the Ropes Mansion, and it's just a big colonial type house, beautiful homes.
And this is
still in Salem.
Okay, so we're still in Salem. Okay, good, perfect.
Yeah, I have 12 different locations in Salem, so I figured we would stay there.
Yeah, that sounds good. And
you can travel around the world.
Yeah.
So then this one is famous for being filming location of the cult Hocus Pocus. So the house that they used in Hocus Pocus is in Salem.
Oh, I didn't know they actually filmed there.
I didn't either. So the Ropes Mansion is another one of the haunted places with a terribly dark history. Tuberculosis was running rampant during the 1700s when Elizabeth and Abigail's parents died from the disease, leaving their daughters to fend for themselves. Abigail went on to marry Judge Nathaniel Ropes Jr., while Elizabeth contracted tuberculosis. Not having anyone to care for her, Abigail was left with the daunting task of taking care of her sister for the rest of her life. After Elizabeth passed away, Abigail became a recluse who screamed and hit people with their cane if they came too close to her. Wow. She spent her nights tirelessly screaming in her mansion, throwing anything she could at anyone who came to check on her.
That's pretty wild. And the whole tuberculosis thing. I mean, we've been to Deadwood. You haven't been to Virginia City yet, but
I've been there, but I didn't do the paranormal tour other than to one house, and it was one of the mansions there, and it was pretty cool. It's
basically just Deadwood in another location. I mean, honestly, I think Deadwood's, obviously probably I think it has had far more death per capita, but disease, especially
It was
back
everywhere.
then. I mean, it was bad. Like I don't think people really can grasp just how, like, now you get a cold, it's no big deal. You know what I mean?
But compare it to, say, COVID. You know, now they have all the hospitals and stuff like that. How many people passed away from that? And look at tuberculosis, and they did not have any kind of resources to be able to help them.
Yeah.
There's a
I
lot
mean,
of really-
you got tuberculosis. I mean, that was terminal.
yeah.
It was a done deal. I mean, now there's antibiotics. I mean, it's fine. We can there's solutions.
Right.
That wasn't a thing back then. So I mean, that's pretty wild.
So Abigail did not have, this seems like she didn't have a good life. She continued. So her demise, she actually got too close to the fireplace and her nightgown caught on fire. She screamed for help, but was trapped in her fiery clothes. And as a result, it was a slow, painful, she burned to death. So yeah, her screams for help were ignored as people in town were used to her angry screams and cruel behavior. So no one tried to help her.
That's a great a commonality between, the boy who cried wolf. You do something so often, eventually that people just go, oh, well, that's just the crazy lady up in the way, And
it's also karma. If you're mean to people and doing all these different things, something bad is going to come back and it is going to happen and, tenfold. So I would say she definitely got that, but I wouldn't say she deserved it, but yeah.
Right. But that's a pretty horrifying way to go.
It is. Yeah.
Definitely, especially because you know that there's this panic that has to set in.
And nobody's going to help you, and you know that they're not going to help you. What can you do? So they said that days later, the townsfolk actually found her charred remains. And since that day, her apparition has been spotted in the upper windows of the mansion, looking out over the beautiful gardens which surround the house. The Ropes Mansion is now known as one of the most haunted places in Salem.
Wow. I would hope that they had the common decency at her wake to not serve barbecue. I'm just putting that out there. I'm just saying.
Oh, probably not. Oh, Mike.
But definitely something to check out if you go to Salem.
So the next location we have is the Mercy Tavern, and it's formerly in a pig's eye.
Wait, what? What? Huh?
I have no idea what that means, so I'm gonna have to do a little research on it. So Salem is a port city, and being a port city comes with port-related terrors like pirates. Mercy Tavern on the historical Derby Street, a place which was a notoriously adulterous area loaded with brothels and booze at the time when captains, sailors, and pirates flooded the town. Rumor has it that pirates used the tunnels beneath the tavern to smuggle goods and kidnap women unnoticed.
More tunnels.
People have spotted the spirits of pirates throughout the building and have reported hearing fighting, swearing, and shouting coming from the tunnels below.
Man, that, you know what? What's interesting about that is that's where going to a place like Nassau, Tortuga, Barbados, some of these, severe pirate towns where piracy was, criminality was just rampant.
Right.
It would be really interesting to get into some of these places and to see what you can pick up from a paranormal aspect.
That would be cool. But the same thing with the old Western towns, because
Deadwood, it was
no law and order. Yeah.
Yeah, it was lawless up until they said, okay, this is out of control. We got to get a grip.
Right. But then you have the laws that come in and it goes to their head and then they become the terrors.
Absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Absolutely. Yep. So the next one we have is the Turner's Seafood of Lyceum Hall. So Bridget Bishop was the first woman hanged during the Salem witch trial in 1692.
Wow. Okay, so Bridget Bishop,
Bridget Bishop.
the first woman ever hung in the Salem witch trials, 1692.
Yep.
Wow. That's
a
nuts.
long time ago.
Wow. Yeah, that's still like that's 80 years. 80 plus years. 84 years, something like that. 80, 86 years?
1692, not 1992.
Oh, 1692. Well, I'm thinking of
You're looking over 400 years.
well, I mean, since the actual revolutions, which was 17, the Declaration was written in 1776.
Oh,
So
okay.
I mean, right? So I mean, that's how much time passed just from that to that,
Right.
and that was a long time ago. I
Well,
mean,
just look at the stuff that's happened with us from the 1960s and the liberations and stuff like that to the 2000s, you
Yeah,
know. So you're looking at only the 25 to 50 years that we were still in really bad times. So
yep, Arthur Mills, 331 years. Yeah, it's been a long time. I mean, they didn't have plastic straws back then.
thanks, Arthur. I'm bad at math, so
Yeah. If there was a Starbucks there, they probably would have just burnt it.
they would have.
You know, that's pretty crazy. But I mean, it just shows you just how different the thought process was back then.
Yep.
I mean, they're trying witches. That's pretty wild.
Well, and just looking at the history, I don't know the exact history, but just watching some of the stuff that's happened, it's definitely.
I would like to know what led them down that road to say, yeah, we're pretty sure she's a witch, and I'm pretty sure we need to. This is how we solve this issue is by doing this.
Well, like I said, I don't know the complete history, but just watching some of the shows that I've seen, they do a play on it that it shows a couple of the girls who got mad at one of the women, and they started claiming that they were a witch. So it was just by word of mouth. There was nothing to prove it. So it's just word of mouth, people saying that they're a witch and being accused of it. They would do all kinds of stuff, trying to drown them, try to burn them. And even one guy, because his wife was accused, I do know they had put a board on top of him and put all kinds of just boulders, put it on top. And so they crushed him and trying to get him to admit that his wife was a witch. And that so he was too, because he was defending her.
That's nuts.
But yeah, just torture. And they have all of those different scenes there from what I've seen on TV. That's what I want to go experience it myself, just to see and feel what I know that's happened there.
And what's really interesting about that, when it comes to like a haunted location, is as much as the gentleman who was crushed to death by the boulders, or Bridget, who was hung, right? She was hung.
Yes.
As much as there might have been fear and anguish, the real true emotion, the real true animosity came from the people that did it.
Yes.
Right? So those are probably, I would think, that as much as the one could be stuck there, I would almost guarantee you the ones that caused these atrocities,
Yes.
I guarantee you they're probably just as stuck.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And that would be something that would be really interesting to investigate.
Yep.
So not so much Bridget, not so much the man that was crushed, but the why and the
just
who.
Overall, just the stuff that's happened there. But see, with the man that was crushed, he actually ended up, from what I heard, was doing a curse on the town.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they say after he said that, but it almost kind of plays into, well, he's a witch. He caused, he did a curse. But the thing is, if you say something and people start believing in it, that they can make that happen.
You can create your own actuality, right?
Yes. And that's to where it's like you talk about something enough, you bring it to life.
I wish I could bring $1 million to life.
I'm right there with you.
I haven't figured that one out yet.
So they're saying that during Bridget's Bishop's time in Salem, she owned an apple orchard on the land that Turner's Seafood now occupies. Most of the ghostly activity reported here happens on the second and third floors. You might catch a glimpse of a woman dressed in white, assumed to be the spirit of Bridget Bishop. The spirit is seen in a full body apparition, or additionally, she is seen in reflections and in mirrors. The scent of apples tend to radiate throughout the halls and outside the restaurant wherever she's present.
Interesting.
So that's where, as a medium, it's like I hear things. And like even today, I swear I got up and I was asking my husband, I was like, what'd you need? He's like, I didn't say anything. And I was like, I'll be right there. He's not, I hear people and, just it's like, he's like, you're hearing things.
So on that note, somebody told me to kind of keep track of my dreams, right?
Yes.
So I don't normally dream, but I have since Deadwood. Not last night, but the night before, I had a dream that there was a storm. And my dogs were caught outside in the storm, and I had to go and grab them and bring them in. And it wasn't just a storm, it was like the storm.
Right.
It was a storm of it was just incredible in my mind just how devastating this storm was, with this lightning and this thunder. And it was so real. I woke up and I thought that it had rained. I thought that a storm had come through the night before. And I was really kind of shocked to find out that nothing had happened.
Right.
All night, because I woke up not thinking that it was a dream, that it actually had happened the night previous. And that really, like, that kind of creeped me out, because that hasn't happened to me since I was a kid.
Right.
So I used to have dreams about storms and things like that as a kid, but I haven't had that in, heck, 30 years.
Right. So when you get involved with the paranormal and you're doing stuff, that opens up your third eye. It opens up your abilities to be able to see things, hear things, feel things, whatever is, for you. And dreams, I get a lot of dreams as well. So like I said, track your dreams.
That's
and you'll see in the future when something happens, it's going to be something like that. So it tells a story.
Yeah,
write your dreams down. They eventually tell you a story.
Yeah, and you're right. You get involved with paranormal, and it does open things.
Yes.
Ask me what X-Lax opens.
I don't want to know that. You've got the outhouse right there.
Yeah, I do. But yeah, so I thought that was pretty incredible on its realism.
Yes.
in my mind, and I haven't had a dream that vivid that it felt palpable. It's the only way I could describe it. It was, and I had a dream last night too, and I remembered it all the way up until I started talking about the other dream, and now I forgot.
Right. Well, for me, the dream that stands out for me for my entire life is whenever I was 19, I was about to get married for my first time, and it was the night of my wedding. So I went to sleep and I'm dreaming and I'm in my dress, but the whole front of my dress is just stained red. And I'm thinking in my dream that I had spilt something, or, then I wake up,
red wine,
to my wedding, and my mother never showed up. And it's like, what happened? So found out that night she had actually went into the hospital hemorrhaging.
Wow.
So she was bleeding. So for me, that symbolism is my wedding dress stained red was on my wedding day. And that's when I lost my mother.
That's incredible.
So those things they do, and it's usually not that immediate, but it's something they can mean something. A lot of times they're not so literal as that, but you can just pick up little bitty things. Another was I'm only 5'2", so I'm short. And so I'm dreaming that I'm looking out over a sea of people. And it's like, I'm looking out over them. And it's like, that never happens. Well, 3 months later, I got a job offer to go to South Korea. I go to South Korea and I'm walking and I'm taller than the people. And I was like, that was my dream.
Like, oh, it works out.
No, I'm not 5 1 3/4, Jenny. I'm 5'2 3/4.
And Arthur says, track your dreams.
I always claimed that I was 5'3", so now it really is 5'2".
I am 5'7", but I legitimately am honestly 5'6". But because my spine has straightened, I have become 5'7".
There you go.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm just a tiny person. My waist is only 26 inches.
Did you get your T-shirt?
Nope.
You haven't got them yet?
No, you didn't send them.
Yes, I did. The UPS.
Mm-mm.
I even sent you the tracking number.
Who did you send it to?
To you.
To me?
Yes, to you.
To Mikkel?
Yes.
I haven't gotten them.
Gagliano. No.
No, I haven't gotten them yet. I swear.
Okay, then I'll have to track it because I did send them to you.
Okay, I figure with like all the craziness that was going on with Christmas, it could take a couple extra days.
Shouldn't though, because everything is going. So anyway, I'll track it, but you should have your shirts.
Okay.
So all of my family got shirts for Christmas too. So
Awesome.
So we all have paranormal T-shirts.
That's pretty awesome. I'm really excited for those. We've got our January 26th and 27th.
Yes.
There's a paranormal convention in Schertz, Texas, which is right outside of Austin.
It's right south of San Antonio.
Oh, San Antonio.
Yes.
All these Texas places are the same to me. So we will be there for a couple of days. We have a booth. We will be selling a part of the Sidekick Paranormal's Life Sucks line. Yes. So if you're interested in getting some incredible sprays made by the psychic guru herself, please come down and take a look at that. Northeast of San Antonio, says Jenny. Thank you, Jenny. Know it all. We will be there selling some merch. We're also sponsoring an investigation.
My daughter, what do you expect?
Well, all makes sense now.
There you go.
We're sponsoring an actual investigation with Shane Pittman and Josh Purvis from the Searchers. Mm-hmm. Yep. So we're very excited to do that and be part of that. So if you happen to be in the area, please feel free to come down and say hi. What else you got for me?
Well, and we're also, because we have, just to talk about our sponsors, we also have Horn Paranormal. They do, we have all of their equipment, and I'm actually part of Horn as well, but doing their equipment, and they're also one of our sponsors, and love to work with them and their equipment. So one of these days, Mike, because you have the SLS camera, don't you?
I do, and it's funny because I went to Deadwood. I know nothing when I got there.
So that's where I would like for you to bring the SLS camera on, because there's so many people that buy equipment and have no idea how to work them.
Yeah.
So you would be able to fit right into that, and you can learn how to use the equipment and show other people as we're learning.
Yes, and it was an incredible experience because here I am. I mean, I literally know nothing, and he's like, "Yeah." Scott Horn is like, "Yeah, I got this thing, and it does this thing."
Stick figures.
Yeah, I'm like, stick figures, cool. Sign me up, right? I'm like, here's my monies. Take all of it. And so he sells me this SLS, and first off, it just looks cool. So I probably spent half the time just kind of going around going pew 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 because it looked so awesome. And Kim, hey, how you doing? Also, weird side note: happy birthday to Charity. I don't think she's in, but
right,
Charity, who we got to meet in Deadwood.
Yes.
So happy birthday. So I got this SLS, and I take it to the first place I use it is the brothel in Deadwood, South Dakota. For anybody who doesn't know where Deadwood is. I didn't, but I do now. I freaking picked up something. Multiple things. And then, so I pick up somebody dancing next to a piano. That's not there. There's nobody there, but somebody is dancing next to the piano. And at that point, I was like, this is pretty nuts. Then we go to the Fairmont. And I pick up. So they briefly talked about how there were women on the third floor that were chained.
Yes.
And they were basically chained up for 45 days. What do they call it? The Stockholm syndrome, right?
Yes.
To kind of help create the Stockholm syndrome to where they become comfortable in their environment and they start to sympathize or empathize with their captors.
Yep.
So they keep them chained up for 45 days. After that, then they're kind of let loose. Some women chose to not go through with the slavery aspect. It was not crabs, though. I will say this. It also turns out with the SLS, aside from the SLS, I also was able to use Kim's
dowsing
rods, and it turns out that I am just incredibly adept. My energy, whatever it is, I'm just very good at getting very quick and very resolute answers with the dowsing rods. And I was directed. I wish I could make this up, but I have multiple people who can verify this. The entity that I was talking to directed me by guiding me with the dowsing rods through the brothel to a bed and ripped my zipper off of my pants. My zipper flew off of my pants and into my hand. I caught it. It was the craziest thing that has ever happened to me. And it was in a brothel, and it wasn't even in Vegas. It was wild. So that was crazy. But fast forward to the Fairmont, I got a stick figure image of what looked like a person that was like half sitting and then half laying, like the legs were laying, but the body, the torso was sitting, and the hand was up like this. And it turns out that, and the location that I saw, they showed me that was where the connection was for the arm
shackle,
right? The shackles. And that what happened at the brothel was entertaining and funny and incredible, and it was an awesome story. But this was heavy, right? It just hit different. And that was when I knew this SLS it's not a toy.
It's not a joke.
It's not a joke.
Yeah.
This is
and that's where you're talking about the
incredible.
For the women, for them when they would release them from their shackles. There is one where the woman, she was not going to be a sex slave, and that's where she chose to dive out the window, and she didn't die immediately. And that was something that she suffered, and she ended up dying, but she haunts that location.
And it's pretty in that. Yeah, Kim is right. It's a sad place. The Fairmont feels so different, and this is where I talk a lot about I'm a comedian. I like comedy. I love to have fun. There are just certain times and elements and places where that's just not going to happen, right? And this was absolutely one of those places where.
Well, and that's where you have.
There's nothing fun about it.
You're respectful with it, and it's something that when we can have fun with it and be able to joke around. But hey, this is where this is not the time or the place to do that. But you can also lighten the mood a little bit later. But it's something that just knowing it's a respect thing, and that's something that we have to have as a team.
Yeah, and we're at the Bullock Hotel, it was a mixed bag of having to be respectful, but you could also tell they were playful, they were fun, they wanted to show you things, and there were some there that that weren't so playful, that wanted to take you down things to do bad things. But those are there too.
Yes.
So it's really a weird combination at the Bullock Hotel. But I really felt at the brothel, because the brothel, so this is what people may not realize. The brothel itself was, the women that were there because they wanted to be there.
They chose.
They chose to be there. They loved the profession. Whereas at the Fairmont, they were slaves. They were stolen. They were kidnapped. They were forced to be there. So the feel at the brothel was vibrant. It was incredible. It was fun.
It was a party time, and that's where they were enjoying it. They were getting paid for what they were doing.
Exactly. And you could feel it, right? You could feel that. But the second you step into the Fairmont, it almost makes you sick to your stomach.
Yes.
It's a wild different. Yeah, exactly. It's not in every situation. Sometimes your opinion, your mentality, it's just got to be different when you go into some of these places.
Yes.
But that is what I love the most about being involved in the paranormal, is you can run this gamut of emotions.
Yes.
In a matter of hours.
Oh, and it's your emotions are so up and down, and by the end of the night, it's like you are just totally exhausted just because of that.
It's incredible. And Annie, you absolutely have to. You would love it.
We are talking, there may be a possibility of doing another event in Deadwood.
Yes, I actually think we've signed up for it. I think it's in April? May? No, it's not May.
In Deadwood?
Yeah, I think we're doing one in Deadwood.
Well, they haven't quite set the dates yet.
Oh. Because I know we've got Louisiana in April. I think it's in June.
Okay. I was trying to put our... Go ahead and keep talking. I'm going to try to do our other video.
Yes, Annie, definitely. Annie, we're going to be in San Antonio in January. We're going to be in, was it February? Are we doing one in February?
We are doing one in February. Yes, I have my notes here somewhere.
Sorry, we're trying to build our.
In February, we're going to be in Georgia.
Oh, Georgia's February, right? We're going to Macon, Georgia in February. And then March. Do we have anything in March?
We do, but I don't have it on my paper here because you just gave that one to me the other day. I didn't write it down.
We're doing something in March. Yes. And then April, we're probably not doing anything in April because I have another business that I run where I wash exotic vehicles. I wash $1 million crazy vehicles like McLarens and Lamborghinis. And I do it for a rally called the Gold Rush Rally. And I literally follow them from city to city every night. And I rewash the vehicles. And I'll do about 60 to 80 vehicles a night.
Wow. You detailing, right?
Yes. And this year it starts in Boston. Ironically, where we're just talking about Salem. So it starts in Boston and it ends in not Miami, but somewhere near Miami. I don't remember the town. I'll have to go look. And it basically it's a bunch of cities in between.
Right.
In fact, I think one of the stops is the Biltmore, Asheville.
Oh, okay.
And the Biltmore is a place that I would love to investigate. Who has a pool with no drain?
Right.
An indoor pool with no drain. That's crazy. So I'd love to investigate that place. So I'm doing that in April. So May, I think we've got one coming up in May. Haygood Mill in March. Is Haygood Mill in March? I don't know.
Are we doing Haygood?
I don't know. Haygood.
Because I know we haven't talked about that one. That's the one where I actually met quite a few people, and I actually met Kim Moran there as well.
Oh, okay.
If you want to do Hey Good, it is the mill is really pretty cool, and I do
Good.
know some people
Good.
there. Yes, with Brandon Cooper.
Oh, the BC himself.
Yes.
I feel like I love Brandon, but I feel like if I were to slap him on the back, his eyeballs would just pop out of his head. I'm very concerned to touch the man. Linda Marilyn says hello, or
Oh, hi, Linda.
hello to Marilyn. Excuse me.
Yes, Mary Lynn.
But Annie, we had a blast in Virginia. Annie and we just connected.
Yeah.
It was just one of those things where you're just like, okay, we're good, we're cool,
Yes.
we're homies, we're part of the crew. Will I see you in Virginia City in October? I don't know, maybe. I don't know that we've got our schedule that far out. Oh, but we might actually be in the one in October, actually.
Well, we were going to be there in July.
Oh, it's July.
Yes.
We are going to be in Virginia City in July. That's when it is. Okay,
Yes.
July. I'm just waiting. We will be sponsoring. I'm waiting to get all the information together for that one. I just don't have it yet. I'm pretty sure she's still kind of Tara is
Yes.
putting it all together still. So, and Tara is an amazing woman, by the way.
I haven't met her yet.
Oh, she's awesome, man. Awesome. She'll tell you exactly how it is. She don't pull her punches, and I love it.
Good. So I can't read what Linda is saying.
She says, what kind of visits are you talking about right now?
What kind of visits as far as paranormal or locations or?
Yeah, probably both.
Yeah. So right now we are still coming up with a list of where we're going to be going. So I'll be putting a calendar together of where we're going to be at, and we'll publish that and hopefully get you guys to come visit us wherever we're going to be at.
Yes.
Yes, I'll get you the calendar.
Yep. And also, if you don't follow us on TikTok yet, Sidekicks, PSY, Sidekicks .paranormal. We are on TikTok. Mostly it's just me. And I basically post weird random facts and very odd news because that's just stuff that I like and it generates. But we are going to have this incredible live segment that's going to come out in the beginning of the new year. That's just going to blow everybody's minds, and it's going to be hilarious, and it's going to be incredible and fun. And Marilyn's going to jump on with us for that, and it's going to be great. And you're going to be able to get things like readings, yes or no questions will be answered with dowsing rods. There will be incredible humor and sarcasm, and it's just going to be fun for all. So we're really excited for that. And it'll be a great way for people to kind of participate in donating fundage to help support our horrible paranormal addictions. And we would appreciate anybody that comes in and just has a great time with us anyway. So,
well, that's the goal, is to have fun. And that's why, like I said, again, at the beginning of the show, talking about our tagline, paranormal, where paranormal is real and fun. So we have to, do the real part, but make it fun. Yes. So, and our goal, or, we talked about it, was to be able to teach people that, like Mike is new to it, he's learning. Yeah. With me being a psychic, yes, I've done investigations, but I'm going to be learning a lot of techniques and stuff as well.
Yes.
So it's us learning as a new team together. And yes, we do have t-shirts.
Yep. I plan on creating a TikTok shop and an Etsy shop where we will be able to sell all of our merchandise, because we do have some really cool merchandise. And the Life Sucks line, which is incredible. You all would love that. I think Annie got to see some of that in Virginia City. And look, both Annie and Kim can testify that I am indeed fun.
You are.
Yes, I am indeed.
You are definitely that.
Yes. So yeah, and Annie, she's learning a lot on how to reach into her abilities and how to be psychic. And there's a big learning curve to the paranormal, because it's not something that you can just, it's right here. You can touch it and feel it. And there's so much more to it than that.
There is. And that's where I see people that, I've been, like I said, I've been doing this since I was 4 years old. So it's not something that's like, oh, I wake up and all of a sudden I know that I'm psychic, or, I have an awakening. And people have the awakenings, and I understand that, but you don't become just a good psychic overnight.
Right.
And it's something you have to learn. And even with me doing it all of my life, 50 years, it's something that, I'm still learning. And there's things that I don't know so much out there. And we all have to just take that and learn from each other. And it's like the way you see something may be totally different than the way I see it. But I like to say, this is how I see, or this is how I would do it. But how would you do it? And that's where something that works for me may not work for you or somebody else. And that's where we all have our, like you said, that learning curve.
Yeah. Arthur asks a very interesting question here. What if you don't want any paranormal ability? How do you get rid of it? You said why, but I think you meant rid.
So once you have paranormal ability, you can't get rid of it. But you, however, can close the doors. So if you choose to close those doors and not acknowledge it, then it's never going to go away, but it's just not at the foremost in your mind. Yeah. And that's something that a lot of kids, to me, everybody has abilities, but as a kid, you learn to close those off. Or it's the parents that, you stop, you learn and do, redirected, but almost all kids have those abilities and they can see things.
That's true. And, for me, I feel like to me, it was just imagination.
Yes.
I think that's how it is for a lot of kids.
It is.
Kim
said, Annie says it's taking classes for over a year and a half to open up. And there's times, Annie, you're going to feel that you've closed off and it's like, what's happening? It's not there. And then all of a sudden you wake up and it's back again. So there's just certain things in your life that allows you to be able, to me, it's kind of a protection. If it's something that I've closed off, it's for a reason. Yeah. Should I not be connecting with something right now? No, you shouldn't be. So that's where look at the reasonings behind it.
So this is really interesting. So that's kind of happened to my wife when she was younger. She kind of closed that off, and she used to be very in tune to where she was able to talk to people that were deceased and not realize that they were deceased, to now she really doesn't have much of that anymore, but she's still very attuned now, but not like she was.
Right.
What's really interesting is, and I have the worst luck. I am the most unluckiest person. I either have really good bad luck or really bad good luck, however you want to look at it. However, we went to the casino, and my wife is usually the one who wins. I never do. I hit absolute donkey dookie, but for some reason, my wife couldn't hit anything, and I wound up winning $500.
Yep.
That never happens. So I think that just shows to me that there can be growth, because I know luck is a weird segment, but I look at luck and paranormal as almost the same thing, because it's not something that you can touch. It's something that is outside of the dimensions of your own reality, right? Mm-hmm. It's something that's just kind of follows in the background. And I think luck and your paranormal attunement are kind of intertwined, because I mean, think of it like this. You have to be, it's lucky to talk to a spirit, right? I mean, that's fortunate to me.
So Arthur has a question, and I can read most of it, but talking to him at night, I have accepted it, but all I want is a day off now and then. They don't. How can I push the pause button? So that's to where I've worked with people and taught them how to open and close. I say open and close your doors. So for me, I used to lay in bed and I would turn over, open my eyes, and I would see they're just right there, faces trying to talk to me. And it's like, this is my space. So that's to where you learn to put those boundaries up. And so I do kind of a white light of protection. I put it around me, around the bed, in my room. So I set those boundaries. They're not allowed in my bedroom. Yeah. So if I want to
affirm those boundaries, right?
You have to. And it's something that it's not going to happen overnight, but it's something that you start setting those boundaries. For me, I also dream, and they'll come to me in my dreams, and it's like, okay, well, I can't come see you here. I'll just visit your dreams. No, that's off limits to you unless I say you're welcome to come visit me in my dreams. So you are in control of whatever's going along with you or around you spiritually. You control all that. So, and if it's something that if you want it to keep coming to you, you keep thinking about it, you keep talking about it, you're pulling it to you. But if you put those boundaries up, it's like for me closing a door. If I'm doing readings, I have 2 doors. If I'm doing a reading for somebody, I open this door to say, hey, do I want to read for this person? Yes, I'm okay. I open that door all the way. But guess what? This door here stays closed.
Right.
That is my protection. At any time I can close this door and I'm done.
Well, and what I get out of it is it's really a relationship,
Yes.
right? It's a lot like a relationship that you would have with a boyfriend or a girlfriend that you have with these entities. So you, Arthur, or myself, or my wife, or Annie, you have to start by creating these. Okay, well, let's set some rules,
Yes.
right? Let's define our relationship,
Yes.
right? That's pretty interesting. That's a cool little take.
Well, it's kind of like with a kid. If you don't set those boundaries with them, they're just going to be running all over the place and doing whatever they want to do. But when you set those boundaries, of course, they kind of bounce and they get upset, but then they realize, hey, I'm not going to get away with this. Then they stop. They sometimes go to something different, try to see, can I get around it this way?
Right.
But that's pushing the boundaries. So mine, because they know my bedroom is off limits, I literally look and see them going by my door all the time.
Is she
but
ready?
I don't acknowledge them. The moment that you acknowledge them, you're welcoming them back in.
Gotcha. So Annie, it was a turkey suit, first off. And Krista says, since I've started the paranormal, she seems to feel more lately, which is, I think we, especially, my wife and I we're really like one person. I mean, so I think that makes sense to me. And you talk about when you acknowledge them, you let them in. And I semi made that mistake in Deadwood. So for people that don't know, I went to Deadwood. I did what was called an Estes method session, where you blindfold, you have these ear muffs playing
It's
like radio frequency,
noise canceling headphones.
Yeah. And and then my job is just to listen, focus, and then say the words, if any, that I hear. And I heard a bunch of words and I said that. What I didn't get to hear, what I didn't know until afterwards, was the people were asking me questions and I was responding. And I was responding in kind, that things that actually made sense. Well, I left. I finished my session. My group leaves. We go on. The next group comes in.
I was in that group.
And then somebody, I guess one of the guests said, like, Mike, help.
Yep.
Or something along those lines. I don't know.
It said, because she repeated, she says, Mike, help me.
That's what it was. So Marilyn told me this, and I said, okay, well.
We went back over to there after doing everything else. So we went back over there where you were sitting on the couch.
Yes, because I felt it was at that point, I felt like if something had taken its time to reach out to me, even though it was 3 a.m, I needed to take my time for it. And that's what I did. I said, okay, if you're willing to reach out to me, then I need to take time to acknowledge you, because I don't know if you're in trouble. I don't know if you just want to hear my voice, if you just want to be comforted by me. Maybe you just like my energy. I don't know. Right. So I get in there and I'm like, hey, I'm here. And I was like, hey, if you want to come down to my room number, I'm in room, 206 or whatever it was. Come on down, hang out with me. Right. And she goes, no, don't do that. No. And I was like, oh, my bad. I was just told I can't. You can't come to visit me. So, but it was really funny because I didn't know that could be. I didn't realize that. One, you really don't know these spirits, right? And two, you don't know. Oh, see you, Annie. Adios.
Bye, Annie. Nice to meet you.
you don't know what else could just kind of follow along, right? You don't know who else could be listening in. So it might not just be, you might not just be this person who I'm pretty sure was a kid. I think it was a kid.
It was.
I felt like it was a kid. I don't know if it was, but that's what I felt like.
Yes, Krista.
Yes, only me. And what's interesting is I was there for 2 nights, and both nights I was visited. And the first night I heard our door open and close, and I thought it was my buddy at the time, Phil. I thought he had gotten up to go get a snack, and I was kind of miffed because I wanted a snack. So I woke up when I heard the door, and I was like, wait. And I was getting up, and I was trying to find my money because I wanted him to get me a snack from the vending machine because that's where I thought he went. And I'm like, wait. And I'm getting up, and I'm looking around, and then I look over at his bed, and he's still asleep. And I went, oh, okay. Oh, it's just a ghost. Okay, that's cool. I'm good. And I laid back down, and I went, oh, my bad. It's fine. And then the next night, I'd actually gotten sick. And I didn't feel very good. And we did have a ton of activity in the hotel. I was sick. I did not feel good. It was a rough night, the second night. And I kept having something touch my leg. But it wasn't like a bad touch. It was like a rub touch. And then I kept dreaming and seeing things come in, look at me, and then leave. Like but it wasn't malicious. It felt like they were just like, hey, we're just making sure you're okay. Are you still okay? Okay, he's good. And it was very comforting.
Yes.
And I remember telling him, hey, thank you for checking on me. At the end of the thing, it felt good. And I appreciated it. Hey, thanks for checking on me. And I was like, and I told him, I said, you know what? When I come back, I hope to see you again. I hope we can have this type of experience again because it was great. But they have to stay there. They can't follow me. I already know that.
And that's one of the things when you do investigations. I always say thank you. I appreciate them allowing us in their space, and then just let them know that they can't go home with us. They have to stay there. Sometimes you do get attachments, and they'll follow you home.
Right.
And
And people might think that's weird that you would have an attachment, but you have to understand. If it was somebody like Deadwood's a great example, that could have been in the 1800s.
Yeah.
They may not have had somebody with this type of connection in hundreds of years. Right. And you come along and they go, I love this lady or guy.
So the way I kind of look at that is just imagine yourself in an ocean. It's dark. There's no moonlight. You're not going to see anything. So
can we go with a freshwater lake? Because it's too salty in an ocean.
Okay, well then even in a big lake, so you can't see the horizon. You can't see anything. It's nothing but darkness around you. Okay. So now imagine you are a lighthouse in the middle of the ocean. Guess what? Your light is shining. So that's going to bring all these different things to you.
Yeah.
Because they see that you can hear them, you can talk to them. So you are like a lighthouse to those beings that are out there. They're coming to you. You don't know if they're good. You don't know if they're bad. You don't know what they are. Some of them represent themselves as children needing help, and they're not. So
right.
Inviting them to come to your room, you never know what you're inviting. A lot of people say,
they can trick
my energy. You can have my energy. It's like, do you really want to do that? You have to set those boundaries.
Right. Because you really don't know when you're saying that. And this is another interesting thing. And Kim said, let's talk about attachments more. When you say that to, maybe you're speaking to an entity and you say, hey, you know what? You can have some of my energy. You may not realize that behind that entity is another one.
Yes.
And they could say, you know what? I happen to be here and I happen to hear you. And I'm going to take full advantage
it was for
of the letter of the law, because that's what you said. You didn't specifically say their name.
Yes.
So I'm just going to go ahead and assume some of that energy for myself. So you don't really know what's going on around you because you can't see. So you really have to be careful.
Yes.
And I didn't understand that until I went to the Fairmont.
Yes.
Because that was where I went, whew, I don't like things in here.
Yeah.
It was weird.
Well, that's why I call it your spidey senses. When your spidey senses go off and you don't feel good about something, then that means it's probably not a good energy, and you probably want to make sure that you are protected or get out.
Right.
It's okay if you leave a place. I have actually walked out of places because it would get so overwhelming for me, and the emotional part of it. I went to Trans-Allegheny and just the asylum in there, and going into the lobotomy room, and it's just, I mean, that just overtook me, and I had to walk out.
Well, you hit rock bottom.
Yeah, lobotom.
But so it's funny because the first time we went down into the basement of the Bullock Hotel, I got super dizzy. I thought I was going to pass out.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually had to leave.
Yep.
I left. I walked around. I just breathed. And then when I came back down, it was a lot more inviting. I just think that, so my point to that is that feeling may not also be bad. Right. It could just mean that there's a lot of activity.
A lot of activity. And if you're not used to that feeling, you don't know how to interpret it.
Right. It really it felt like seasickness is the best way I could kind of describe
and that's where you kind of, when you walked around and you went out, you kind of acclimated your body more. And with you breathing, you got yourself ready for it because you already knew what you felt when you went in.
Well, and that was it too, is I mentally was going back in knowing that I was going to get hit.
Well, see, and Phil did the same thing because he was feeling sick and he literally had to walk out a couple times as well.
Yes. So Phil that's an interesting case study to me because even when he came back, Phil had issues.
Yes.
And I still speculate that a lot of those issues were self-inflicted.
Yes.
Right? Because I feel like maybe Deadwood got a little too real for him.
Too intense, yes.
And that can happen. I mean, look, that's not a bad thing. I mean, it's not a good thing. It's not a bad thing, but it's just you have to understand what you're going into, I guess, right? And
but
I
also
think
the state of mind when you go into that. Are you having problems? Are you having, what's going on with you? And are you going to, if you're having a bad time or something's going on in your life, you're drawing that energy to you and it just exacerbates it. So it just makes it to where it gets out of hand. And when you do go back, it's like, what just happened?
Yes. And you, for example, you're this beautiful beacon of light. You're very calming. You have a very calming energy. You have a very almost like a melodious feel, right? To be around. I've always seen myself as just, I am bright. I am powerful and chaotic.
Yes.
But I am so wholly positive.
Yes. And that makes the difference.
Yes.
Because your energy is like all over the place, but you're so positive with it. You're not going to allow anything negative to attach to you because you're going to joke around. It's just who you are.
Yeah. I'm going to drive him nuts.
So what is she saying? Or Arthur, you raised
an interesting question. What is it that many paranormal investigators tend to panic or leave the scene upon encountering the very phenomena they're seeking? It's noticeable in numerous videos where paranormal investigators quickly flee at the slightest indication of any paranormal activity. So I'm going to take a quick shot at this myself because it drives me absolutely up the wall when this happens. One, I think it is for one very big reason, and that is ratings.
If they're on TV.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Specifically,
if they're on TV.
But he mentions videos, so
true.
To me,
but you can even just have your everyday paranormal team that's posting videos.
That's true.
You see them take off running.
But
so why do you think that is?
I still believe more than anything, to me, I believe it is attention seeking. I really do. I really don't know that there is. I don't know because, again, that's not something that I can say that I've had a lot of experience with, right? So from somebody watching it, that would, to me, would be, oh, they're looking about it as, yeah, I think it's about ratings and views. Arthur,
However,
I'm right there with you. Now, my counterpoint, or devil's advocate, if you will, would be those that have shown me that they have experience, they have wisdom, and if they are leaving, that probably means that they are feeling ill and they just don't like the vibe. And they're concerned about their well-being and the well-being of others. That I can completely understand. But I feel like that is so blown out of proportion. And I think Ghost Hunters, is that Zach Baggins or whatever?
right.
I mean, he's possessed in like every episode. Like, that's just not a thing.
That's all ratings. That's definitely ratings for that. So, you know what fight or flight is? So
yes, I have it bad.
So scared, do you fight or do you run? And that's where most people have the flight tendencies. For me, I have a tendency is like, I want to know what it is, so I go to it. There's only been one time that I literally got scared, but I didn't run. I walked, and my people that I was with said, you can tell I was startled, but I stood in the corner, but I didn't run away, and I didn't leave the house that we were in, but I just got myself out of that area. But to me, it's the fight or flight. It's most people, they get that reaction and it scares the shit out of them is what it does. So they run. And then when they go back, it's like, oh, well, it really wasn't that.
Right. So, I mean, I've talked about this with Doof Doof Paranormal. One of my first, not even one of my first, but one of my strongest reactions to something paranormal, I ran, but it wasn't one of those things where it hit and then I ran. It was a buildup. Something had been just kind of toying with us for probably 30 minutes before finally something just clicked that I had to go. I had to get out of here. So I've been on that side. So I know that running from something is definitely real.
Right.
But I'm like you I've aside from maybe that one time where I was just like, okay, I've had enough. I'm done with this after being pursuant.
Right.
But like even in Deadwood, there were some very interesting areas, and in Virginia City, that there were areas where I went, I don't think I'm going to walk down this hallway by myself. And that doesn't mean that I felt like fleeing or running, but to me, that was just the wisest decision that I could make.
Well, that's just the intuition. And when you feel like there's something off, you're not going to go running into that. You're curious and you're going to look at it, but you're not going to run into it. So whenever I say I'm going to go see what it is, if I hear something, I'm apprehensive, but I'm still going to go look. Yeah. But I'm not going to put myself in the situation to where I'm going to be attacked.
Yeah. And you're right. I think Arthur mentioned, it can seem a little counterintuitive to run when that's what you're looking for. But I do think there are those people that you trust your gut.
Yes.
Right. Trust your gut. And that's what I would tell anybody that is doing paranormal, because, I don't know that much. And that's what I'm going to do.
Well, I'm looking at this question on here talking about fleeing would be a typical reaction for a paranormal investigator. So let's kind of put it in a different perspective. So let's say you are at war. Are you going to, when something starts coming at you, are you going to stand your ground? Or sometimes are you going to turn and put yourself in a better situation, get yourself protected? You're not always going to stay there. So you may not be necessarily fleeing, but you're getting yourself protected. So that's just kind of a devil's advocate looking at it a different way, not necessarily running from it. You can be afraid, but just get yourself protected and out of the way.
Yeah. What do they say? There's a fine line between bravery and stupidity, right?
Yes.
So I guess to each their own, but I think, well, and here's the other thing too. I think the people that post, like, they may have gone through that whole place and not had really anything that made them feel that way. And then the one time that they did, because they felt like it was so strong of an emotion or strong of a reaction, they might say, hey, people may want to see this.
Right.
So that's what they post.
Right.
So now you get that where that just becomes common.
Right.
Because somebody will see and go, oh, I had something happen to me very similar to that. I'm going to post that.
Right.
So now that's pretty much all you'll see are those types
Everybody
of
running away. Yes. And that doesn't always happen. So you can go
But-
into locations like Trans Allegheny. Whenever we went there, it was like everybody saying how active it was. And there was like at one point, really nothing was going on. And then all of a sudden it just like someone took the lid off of it and it was just exploding. But it's to the point you go into that location, nothing is happening. And then all of a sudden it is, you get startled. You know, again, I don't run, but one of my counterparts did. You know, it's like they didn't run away, but they just kind of backed away and got, because it startled them. And that was their response.
Right. And also you've got to think, you know, like when I was walking through the Washoe Club, I guarantee you at some point I picked my nose. And that is probably not what you want to see on camera.
Right.
Maybe, but probably not. You'd probably rather see me pee myself. I mean, honestly, let's be real. That's going to be a lot more entertaining.
Well, you know, and that's going to happen. You're going to catch things. That's like even on TV for like Zach Bagans. They were in a mine and he's passing gas. You know, things like that happen. So you're going to see different stuff. It just depends on what they decide to allow the people to see. But yeah, Arthur, I also look at collecting the evidence, and it's not good to run because if you're looking at being an investigator, the idea is there to get that evidence and to be able to collect it.
And I'm going to take it a step
further.
further.
Naturally afraid.
I'm going to take it a step further and say it's not even just evidence. And Arthur, for people that may not know, he's an author. He's written books. There also has to be almost a fantastical element to it, right? Something that there can't be evidence for, right? Something that is unexplainable, and that is the draw, right? That you could create this evidence and say, look, these are the reasons why, but I really can't say. That's the beauty of it.
Well, and that's left to interpretation.
And that's what I love the absolute most about the paranormal.
Well, and that's like being a psychic, because I can sit here and I can read you and tell you all these different things that I'm seeing. How am I really? And that's where my husband says it all the time. I'll do a reading for somebody. He's like, how do you do that? It comes to me. And that's to where I can't tell you. I meet somebody for the first time and I can tell them everything that's going on in their life right then, the aches and pains and, you know, surgery or whatever. I can tell them that, but it's like, I can't explain it.
You know, I could give you a bunch of reasons why I was 100% thought that my lobster boxing was going to take off, but it didn't. Okay. So you can have all the evidence in the world, but it turns out
in the end, it's a flop.
Well, I mean, it's just one of those things where once you get the gloves on them, they're just too heavy.
Right.
You know, and then the training them turned out to be, it was a whole mess, but it was one of those things where it sounded like a good idea and I had all these reasons, but the reality is it just didn't work.
Sometimes it doesn't work. Yes.
It just didn't work. So I think there's definitely this cool give and take in the paranormal world.
Yes.
And I think that's what makes it. And same thing with comedy, right? Comedy is rooted in reality.
Yes.
But it's not. Right?
Well, it's where your mind goes. Yes.
It's based on reality.
Yep.
But it's comedy. It's not actually real. It's something that's meant to make fun of something that is real, right?
And that's like you being a comedian. I'm an author as well. Arthur is an author, and that's where you have to have those. Your mind has to be able to be open and be able to be, you know, that magical part of it, just to be able to be the creative and be able to see things that's really not there. And but the comedy part of it too is just to be able to quickly step on something or pick it up, and just the way you do it is like I laugh, you know, and it's something, it's just random times, and I never know when it's going to be real or when it's going to be comedy coming from you. So
right, and I love that too, because I like being able to I like having people on their toes. I think it's fun.
Well, the one time you got me was still at Jay's house with your mother-in-law and the hamburgers.
Yeah, and the cheeseburger. It's true. Yes. Yep. And I totally remember leaving the line of cheeseburgers at Jay's door.
Yep. And
It
that
was
when
amazing.
you were telling me that, for some reason, just the image of it, it hit me, and I could not continue my show because I kept laughing so much.
That's awesome. It's been an hour and 45 minutes. We should probably let these poor people go.
That was a quick, that seemed to go by quick.
It did. It blasted past.
This has been fun. We'll definitely do this again next week. And I have a exit video. Let me see if I can get it pulled up.
Cool. Thanks for tuning in, folks. We appreciate you. Thanks, Arthur.
Thank you, everyone.
Jim. Awesome. Thank you. We'll catch you all next Wednesday.
Yes. I'll update the times. It also includes the mountain time on here as well. So,
Oh, yeah, mountain time. Yeah. Take care, guys.
bye, y'all.
Bye.